You know, it's funny how life works sometimes. You think you're looking for one thing, and before you know it, God has quietly been leading you towards something completely different. About a year ago, I was looking for a new fragrance house. I had no idea I was about to find a second family. Now, if you all know me, you know that I absolutely love perfume. I've collected fragrances for years, and there are two things that will grab my attention every single time. The first is a beautiful bottle. I freely admit that I am a sucker for a gorgeous bottle. They are just little works of art to me, and I love displaying them. But even more than that, I love a fragrance with a story. I want to know who it's inspired it. I want to know why it was created and what the perfumer was trying to express. For me, perfume has never been about just smelling good. It's about history. It's about emotion, and it's about memories. It's about telling a story without us saying a single word. So one day, I came across a few TikTok videos about a small fragrance house called Xarmony. It caught my attention, and so what I did, what I always do, I started researching. I visited the website. Before I ever smelled a single fragrance, I found myself completely drawn into the stories behind them. Every fragrance seemed to have purpose. Every bottle invited me to learn something new. I remember sitting there thinking, wow, this is really different. The more I explored, the more I realized that these fragrances weren't trying to chase trends and smell like whatever happened to be popular at the time. They had their own identity. They had their own personality. They had their own story to tell. And as someone who collected perfume for a long time, that truly stood out to me. There are thousands of fragrances in the world, and sometimes they can begin to feel very similar. Xarmony wasn't trying to fit into that mold. They never have, and they never will. It was willing to be creative. It was willing to take risks. It was willing to be different. And I love that. Some fragrances, they really surprised me, and some, they challenged my nose in ways that I wasn't expecting. I had several that became instant favorites, and others helped me appreciate notes that I might have never ever chosen on my own. So that's one of the things that I truly admire most about Xarmony, because every fragrance has its own personality. Every fragrance tells its own story, and every fragrance invites you to experiment something a little bit different. So the more I learned, the more curious I became. So one day, I saw an announcement on TikTok that evening, the perfumer, Trill, behind Xarmony, was going to do a live with four wonderful ladies called the Scented Sisterhood. Each of them was going to share one fragrance to tell the story behind and explain why it was created and talk about why they love that particular fragrance. So if you know me, you know I was going to be there. I was not going to miss that. So I hurried through dinner. I finished everything I needed to do around the house, got my shower, I grabbed my iPad, and I climbed into bed. And I settled in for that live. Now, looking back, I smile every time thinking about that evening, because I had no idea that one little click on TikTok would become such an important part of my life. That first night, I probably asked enough questions to wear anybody out. I wanted to know everything I could about Xarmony fragrances and the story behind them. Thankfully, Trill was incredibly patient with me. Before the live ended, he invited me to come back the next evening. So I did. At first, I only stopped in every now and then. I was still learning about the fragrances and still getting to know everyone. Still discovering the fascinating little fragrance house. But something started to happen that I never ever expected. Without realizing it, I wasn't coming back just because I loved the perfume anymore. I was coming back because I genuinely looked forward to seeing the people. Every evening, there were conversations about fragrance, but there was also laughter. There was history and life, just so much encouragement. Someone was always celebrating another person's success. Someone was always checking on a friend who had been missing. Someone's always making everybody laugh. And someone was always reminding another person that they were not alone in this world. And somewhere along the way, without realizing it, I stopped thinking of Xarmony as just a fragrance house. I started thinking of it as home. I thought I had found a fragrance community. Instead, I found a family, and I can honestly tell you That was the greatest surprise of all. As I kept coming back night after night, I started realizing something. The fragrances may have been what brought us all together, but it's the people that kept us coming back. Every evening, I was getting to know someone a little bit better. Every conversation taught me something. Every friendship added something to my life. One of the most beautiful things that I love about the Xarmony family is that we're all so different. Different ages, different backgrounds, different careers. We have completely different personalities and different life experiences. And somehow, all of those differences fit together like a puzzle, just beautifully. One of the greatest gifts this community has given me is the opportunity to learn from people I probably never would have met otherwise. It all starts with Trill. I'm thankful for the fragrances he creates, but I'm equally thankful that he created a place where people could gather. He introduced us to Kaizen, encouraged us to keep growing, and built a community where people genuinely care about one another. And that's something really special to me. So then there's Marisol. One of the biggest surprises was finding out she and I actually live in the same town. So she got sick with the flu, and I didn't just want to text her and say, hey, I hope you feel better. So I made some homemade cider and packed a nice little bag of goodies and surprised her. That was the first time we'd ever met in person. Since then, we've talked on the phone, spent time smelling fragrances together, made videos together, and we've become real friends. She reminded me that online friendships really can become lifelong friendships. There's Carla. Carla has become someone very special to me because we understand each other in a way that only people living with chronic illness sometimes can. There are days when you don't have to explain how you're feeling because the person that you're speaking to completely understands. And that's what kind of friendship that I have with her, and it's a gift. Ren has shown me what perseverance looks like. This summer, she unexpectedly lost her teaching position, and our little Xarmony family kept reminding her what an incredible teacher she was, that she's amazing, and that we believe that she was going to find her place. And just recently, she accepted a new teaching position, and I don't think any of us could have been happier for her. Sometimes we all need people who believe in us until we're able to believe in ourselves again. Then there's Brenny. Oh my goodness. If there's anybody who can make me laugh until I cry, it is Brenny. We both adore animals. We both love fragrances. We both love rocks and crystals and all those beautiful things that God created in nature. I honestly believe that if we were ever together in person, we would probably laugh until the sun came up. She's reminded me that laughter really is one of God's greatest medicines. Bone Muffin, he has shown me what quiet strength looks like. He is so devoted to his family, and he is so devoted to the Xarmony family. Even though life has thrown him some difficult things his way, he's always checking on someone, always encouraging someone, and making sure everyone else is okay. His deep laugh might be what people notice first, but his faithful heart is what I'll always remember. Adam may be one of the funniest people I've ever met. He throws some things in the chat that just blow me away. It's great to have his humor. He supports each and every one of us. I especially admire the friendship that he shares with Trill. He's always encouraging him, offering wisdom, and standing beside him. Watching that friendship has reminded me how important loyalty really is. Michelle, she's one of the most caring and selfless people I've ever met. She's a special education teacher, and that honestly makes perfect sense for her. She's always loving people for simply who they are. She has such a servant's heart, and you can see that she cares for everyone around her. 808 has been one of those quiet voices of wisdom in my life. Maybe it's because she lives in Hawaii, a place that will always hold a special place in my heart. Or maybe it's just simply because she has such a calm and sweet spirit about her. Every time she shares something, I find myself really slowing down and listening. She's reminded me that wisdom doesn't have to be loud. Cassie reminds me that true friendship just doesn't disappear because life gets busy. She's working hard, raising a family, and caring for others, but she still finds time to stop by and see us. Every time she pops in the chat, it feels like just an old friend has walked through the front door. And then there's Alexis, our youngest Harmonite. She is full of excitement and life. I'm loving watching her chase her dreams and get her education. So there's also Christine. Christine, who many of you know is Fine Vibes, inspires me with her positivity and her resilience because she is a breast cancer survivor. And the joy that she shares with everyone around her is amazing. Joanna has shown me how powerfully quiet encouragement can be. She is a very quiet encourager in our group. But you know what? That is so loud in itself. And God sent always knows how to make me laugh. Lenina reminds me to not take life too seriously. And Alicia, she's always faithfully serving behind the scenes and proves that you don't have to be the loudest person in the room to make a difference. Brandon, he brings calm, steady presence that is always appreciated. Crystal truly inspires me because she had a dream and has pursued it and has done great things with it. And Meredith has reminded me that every friendship is different. I've learned that patience, grace, and taking the time to understand one another can strengthen relationships, and I'm grateful she's a part of our family. I know that I haven't mentioned every single person by name, and I wish I could. If I shared story about every person and a lesson that each one has taught me, this probably would last all day. But please know this, every single Harmonite has made this community better. Every single one of you has added something meaningful to my life. Every laugh, every conversation, every late night discussion about fragrance, especially those encouraging words. Every little moment has mattered to me. And when I look back over this past year, I realized I wasn't just collecting fragrances anymore. I've been collecting some friendships. Those friendships have become one of the greatest blessings in my life. Those friendships didn't just become an important part of my life, they also changed me. One evening, during one of our lives, Trill introduced us to the philosophy of Kaizen. At first, I thought this was just another interesting topic that we would be discussing. I had no idea how much that simple idea was about to change the way I looked at my own life. For anyone who may not know, Kaizen is the idea that small, consistent improvements over time can create meaningful change. It's simple, but sometimes the simplest ideas are the ones that we need the most. One evening, Trill challenged each of us to choose something small that we could do every day that would make our lives a little better. Not something huge, not something overwhelming, just one small step. For me, that one step was walking. Now, if you know and you followed me very long, you probably know that my health journey has been anything but easy. I live with rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, fibromyalgia, diabetes, and chronic pain. It goes on and on. For a long time, I have become very sedentary because everything just hurt. And somewhere along the way, I developed an all or nothing kind of thinking. If I couldn't completely change my life, why even try? If I couldn't walk for miles, why walk at all? If I couldn't do everything perfectly, then somehow I convinced myself that doing something just wasn't enough. Looking back, I realized that that concept kept me stuck far longer and far worse than my illness ever did. Kaizen gently changed that. Instead of asking myself, did I do enough today? I started asking, did I take one small step forward? Some days that meant me walking to the end of the street and back. Some days it meant going a little further. And if I had a bad day, I didn't beat myself up anymore. I just simply tried again tomorrow. That may not look or sound like a life-changing lesson, but for me it truly was, because the lesson was never really about walking. It was about giving myself permission to make progress without demanding perfection. And somehow that one little change, it showed up in every part of my life. I became more patient with myself, more willing to keep trying to do things better, more willing to celebrate the little victories instead of only focusing on the finish line. Then I started noticing something else. As I got to know the people in our Harmony family, I realized every single one of us is carrying something. Some burdens are easy to see, others are completely hidden. There are some people that are grieving, some are fighting health battles, some are raising children with special needs. Some are caring for aging parents, and there are some that are just trying to make ends meet. We all have those issues, and that realization, it truly changed me. It's reminded me to be slower to judge. Shoot, just don't even judge at all. Quicker to encourage and more willing to listen. And more intentional about loving the people that God places in my life, because we never really know what someone else is carrying. The last several years of my own life have been some of the hardest that I've ever experienced. Our family lost our home in a fire. My health has truly declined. I slowly stopped going places because I was told I wasn't allowed to drive anymore. I stopped seeing friends. I just totally became isolated. Not because I wanted to, but because my life became truly heavy. I miss laughing. I miss feeling like myself. And then something happened that I could have never planned. I found TikTok. I found fragrance again. I found harmony. And little by little, without even realizing it, I started finding myself again. One conversation at a time, one friendship at a time, one laugh at a time. Looking back now, I don't think that was a coincidence. I thought I was searching for perfume and videos about perfume, but I think God was quietly leading me towards people who would help me laugh again, grow again, and become part of a family that I never knew that I needed. Has every problem in my life disappeared? No. I still have very difficult days, and I still live with chronic illness. I still worry about my husband, who works very hard to take care of our family. I still worry about my parents. They're getting older, and I love them so much. I still pray for my children and hope that they'll continue to grow into everything God has planned for them. Those worries are still there, but there's something different now. I don't carry them alone. Now I have friends who pray for me, friends who check on me, friends who celebrate with me, and friends who remind me to keep taking those small steps. And I hope I've been able to be that kind of friend for them too. When I think about Kaizen today, I don't just think about walking. I think about choosing kindness. I think about encouraging someone who is discouraged. I think about sending a text just to let someone know that they're loved. I think about celebrating someone's victory. I think about showing up, because sometimes the smallest things we do end up making the biggest difference. I used to think growth meant becoming someone completely different. Now I believe growth is becoming more fully the person that God created me to be. One small choice, one small act of kindness, one friendship, one day at a time. To me, that's what Kaizen looks like. So, what does harmony mean to me? When I first sat down to make this video, I thought I was just going to talk about perfume. Then I thought I was going to talk about Kaizen. But after thinking about this journey, I realized what I really wanted to talk about was gratitude. Gratitude for the people that God placed in my life. Gratitude for the friendships I never expected. Gratitude for the lessons that I've learned. Gratitude for the laughter that we have shared. And gratitude for the reminder that none of us has to walk through life alone. When I look back over this past year, I can honestly say that harmony has become so much more than a fragrance house to me. Yes, I get so very excited every time Trill releases a new fragrance. I still love reading the stories behind each creation. I still love wondering what inspired Trill to create a fragrance, what piece of history or mythology sparked the idea, and how he translated it into that scent. As a fragrance lover, that sense of creativity is something I truly appreciate. Harmony has never felt like it was trying to follow everyone else. It has always felt willing to take its own path, tell its own stories, and create its own fragrances with their own identities. That originality is one of the reasons I fell in love with this house in the first place. But somewhere along the journey, something unexpected happened. The fragrances that first caught my attention quietly led me to people who completely changed my life. Today, when somebody asks me what harmony means to me, my answer is simple. It means friendship. It means encouragement. It means learning from people whose lives are different from mine. It means celebrating together and praying together, laughing together, growing together. It means knowing that when one of us is carrying something heavy, someone else is there to lend a hand and help shoulder the load. One of my favorite things about our Harmony family is that we're always growing. It seems like every week someone new joins us, and I genuinely love that. Not because we're adding another person or another name to the chat, but because we're welcoming another person into our family. Every new Harmonite brings a different story, a different perspective, different talents, and different experiences. And I always find myself thinking, I can't wait to get to know this person, because I truly believe every single person has something they can teach us. If you're watching this because you've discovered Harmony, I just want to say welcome. I hope that you find fragrances that surprise you. I hope that you discover stories that inspire you. And I hope that you experience the same kindness, encouragement, and friendships that have meant so very much to me. Because those are the things that stay with you long after the fragrance has faded. Before I finish, there are a few people I want to thank. Thank you, Trill, for introducing us to Kaizen and creating a place where people from all over could gather around a shared love of fragrance, history, and storytelling. None of us could have ever predicted the friendships that would grow from it, and I'm so grateful that you took that first step. And to every single Harmonite, whether you're on the panel every night, whether you're faithfully in the chat, whether life has gotten so busy that we only get to see you every once in a while, or whether you're brand new and just finding your way into our little family, thank you. Thank you for every conversation, every laugh, every fragrance recommendation, every history lesson, every encouraging word, every prayer, every act of kindness. Thank you for reminding me that growth isn't about becoming perfect. It's about choosing to keep moving forward, one small step at a time. I don't know if any of you truly realize what you have meant to me this past year. You've helped me laugh again. You've helped me become social again. And you reminded me that there are still very, very, very kind people in this world. And you've helped me find a little piece of myself that I thought I had lost. For that, I will always be grateful to my Harmonite family. So if someone asked me today, what does harmony mean to you? I'd smile and say, I came because I was searching for beautiful fragrances. I stayed because I found beautiful people. Fragrances were simply the invitation. The real gift was the family that I found along the way. I love each and every one of you. God bless you all, and thank you for being a very special and powerful part of my story.